Hello internet friends, my name is Catherine and I'm the human behind creation Miss Couture, and today is another Color Wheel Monday. This series I make my way through color theory one color at a time. What we've done so far in this series is work through the primary color triangle, and now we're onto the secondary colors, and we're almost done because we already completed orange and violet, and now we're going to be working on with the green. We've already added blue to our green, and now today we're going to be adding yellow to our green to see what happens, if something happens, because if you remember last episode, not much happened with so what I've learned so far with green is that it's the main thing, it's the main character. Just be careful when you're using it. If you're interested in this series, there is a full playlist for the Color Wheel Monday series, so let's get into this. Welcome back to Color Wheel Monday, the series in which I make my way through color theory in one color at a time. And we are currently working our way through green. We've already added carabine blue to our green, and today we're going to be adding brilliant yellow to it. So the reason we've been waiting for me to do the green is because it always bleeds, always. And I just don't have the bandwidth to do that sometimes. So what we're going to do first is we're going to be doing our stock solution for brilliant yellow. I still have Kelly green from when we did the adding carabine blue, so I didn't need to do too much of the stock solution all the time. But so what is the stock solution? It's the liquid form of our dye powder. We need to add water to the dye powder to be able to dye properly with it, and have a consistent result. So this is what we're going to do. However, this is highly volatile fine particles, so you always need to put protection on your face. So please make sure that you're wearing a respirator that will allow to avoid breathing in the fine particles. Doesn't have to be the specific brands, but just make sure that it is good for fine particles, because we only have one pair of lungs, so please protect them. Okay, so let's put this on, and we are going to do our stock solution for brilliant yellow. And you always have to make sure that your scale is at 0 out before adding anything, just to make sure that, you're doing it good. Okay, now I need to remove a tiny bit of dye. Okay, amazing. We did better than last time. So I always like to wait just a tiny bit to make sure that it doesn't change its mind. So let's add a little bit of water. There we go. Now I can remove my respirator because this is no longer in the dry powder form, so I can breathe properly. It's really to protect from the dry powders that we want to have a respirator on. Okay. And let's make sure that all the powder has dissolved and we're good. Oops, I didn't show you properly. Sorry about that, friends. So there is no more. No. Okay, I got the last bit of it. Okay. Just want to make sure that we have 100 milliliter. So I'm just going to be waiting for this thing to calm down before adding a tiny bit. I'm almost at the 100 milliliter line. There we go. Perfect. So now we have our stock solution, so we can go grab our mason jars. Okay, so we want to have Kelly Green as the main character, so we're going to be putting 10 milliliters of the stock solution for Kelly Green in each of the mason jars. Why 10 milliliter? Is because we're using 10-gram mini skeins, and we want a 1% depth of shades. So for a 1% stock solution, it means 10 milliliter of the 1% stock solution in each of the mason jars. So that's what we're going to be doing now. And I just feel like what I think what's going to happen with the brilliant yellow is going to brighten the Kelly green. It's going to make it more vibrant, I feel, and like a little bit more warm rather than neutral, cool tone. Okay, so now we have all that. So this is all good. So we're going to be adding by increments our brilliant yellow stock solution. So we're going to be starting with 0.5 milliliter for 0.5% depth of shade, 1 milliliter for a 1.05 0.10, sorry, 0.10 depth of shade. Now we're going to be adding our 2.5 milliliter for our 0.25 depth of shades. Now we're going to be adding 5 milliliters for our 0.5 depth of shade, 7.5 milliliter for our 0.75 depth of shades. And now we're going to be adding 10 milliliters of our stock solution for a 1% depth of shade. So this is what we're going to be doing. And I just keep getting greener and greener and greener. Okay, so now we can add our mini skeins in it. So there are 10-gram mini skeins from fingering stroll from Nitpick. So they are 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. And now we are going up and down, trying to make sure that we are opening up the skeins to avoid as much as possible too much natural resistance in our skeins. And like I mentioned, I'm pretty sure that what's going to happen is that we're just going to have more like a brighter green. Yellow is never really that color that will like show off that much, but it will play nice and it will sort of, how can I say, seed its space to create like different tint of the same color. Okay, and we still do not have any sort of citric acid in our jars because I want to make sure that we are giving it enough time to like strike evenly on the skeins. And we have approximately 400 milliliters of tap water. Like, we can barely see any difference. I just feel like it's brighter. Like it's a lighter shade of green now. Okay, so what we're going to now is we're going to be adding this to the double boiler. So we'll see you in a bit. Okay, so I just turned on the heat onto this because it's going to take a little longer for the water to reach the right temperature. So we still don't have any citric acid as of right now. We're going to be waiting about 50 minutes before adding the citric acid to give the chance to the dye to strike evenly onto the yarn. So like the yarn that is more inside itself will have more time to like get covered, right? So soon 15 minutes. Okay, so it's been 15 minutes and we are going to be adding our citric acid in our mason jars. Okay, so now that we have the citric acid, we just need to make sure that the water reached the proper temperature. So we're going to wait for the water to reach between 85 to 95 Celsius. And once it's reached that temperature, what we're going to do is we're going to let it cook for half an hour before we are turning off the heat and letting it cool completely off before washing any excess dye. So there we go. So see you in a little bit. Okay, so yikes, as expected, we still have some green tint in the jars, but it's Kelly green, so I am not surprised at all. And yeah, I am absolutely not surprised that it's still very green. It just looks a little warmer. Like, you can't even tell that we added yellow in here. So I think we're going to see more drastic color change once we reach the probably electric violet will clash a little bit more. Okay, so I will see you in a bit. Okay, so let's do this. And so far it's crazy how little the green Kelly has changed from when we added the Caribbean blue. Like, I don't think we had that much change in the color of the final skeins. And same thing with brilliant yellow. I feel like we don't have a whole lot of changes for the color. So I find it quite fascinating how Kelly green is so powerful when it comes to everything. Um, and we still have quite a bit of color left in the mason jars. I'll show you that after that we've washed off all excess dye. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to let it marinated in the, well, soaking. Soaking is a better word. I will let it soak in the water for about 10 minutes to remove as much excess dye as possible. Kelly green is a color that I've mentioned before is a biche to work with because it likes to bleed all the freaking time. No matter what you do, it will bleed. And I hate that for us. So we're going to attempt to remove as much as possible for dye wise. However, there will be bleeding no matter what we do. So see you in a little bit. Okay, let's look at the yarn. Come on in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where's the sixth one? There we go. Like, we can barely see. There's barely a fade of color in here. It's so sad. And we have quite a bit of green in this water, which was to be expected because it's Kelly green. And she hates us. Oh boy. So we are going to let it soak again. I'm just going to add more water and we're going to let it soak for a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to let this soak for about 10 to 15 minutes and then we're going to hope that we have less green in the water. So, see you in a little bit. Okay, let's see what it looks like now. Yep, still quite a bit of green. Okay, so this is going to be the last time I'm going to let it soak in the water. And after that, we're just going to put it in a spin dryer and let it dry overnight because I have no more patience for green, for Kelly green tonight because she's a little biche and we do not like that. And I don't think she likes us very much. So we're going to let it soak. Okay. Hello, Kelly green. So, one thing you can do when you have a color that you're unsure if it's going to cause a lot of trouble is you can either do a what is it called, a steam blocking for your finished object, or what you can also do is once it's soaked, you don't necessarily let it soak for a very long time. You let it soak enough that the entire garment or finished object is going to be like fully wet, and then you're going to just remove it. So instead of letting it soak for like 15 to 30 minutes like you would normally do, you let it soak in. Once it's fully soaked, you remove it right away, and then you remove all excess water from your garment or finished object, and then you are going to be blocking it as you would normally do it. So this is what you can do. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my mason jars. So once again, we have a lot of color in the mason jars that are left. It is just the nature of Kelly green, and most greens will do something similar. So if it happens to you, please do not be worried. It's normal. Unfortunately, there's some dyes that will bleed more and leave like tint in the water no matter what you do. Neon are a good example of that, and most greens are like that as well. Red can also sometimes do it depending on like the ingredients to create the pigment. So it's part of the fun, I guess. So yeah, what we're going to do, we're going to make sure that we remove all excess water from our mini skeins with the spin dryer, and we're going to let it dry overnight, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye. And here's the final result of adding brilliant yellow to our Kelly green. So at least this time we can see there is a difference. So it did what I thought it would do. So basically what it did is it brightened up a little bit the green. So instead of being like green, well, Kelly green, oh my gosh, this is going to be a horrible example. I was going to say this excess like emerald like, yeah, I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say, but it's just brightened up and made the green a little bit more on the warm tones rather than on the cool tones. So Kelly green is more like neutral cool, and I feel that adding the brilliant yellow made it a little bit more deep emerald warm green. Yeah, this is where we're going for. So it's pretty cute. But yeah, it was a lot of work with the excess dyes for not a whole lot of results, so that was fun. Anyways, if you've liked the video, please consider sharing, liking, and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one very soon. Bye!